Hello from gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and winter is definitely upon us. But winter is a wonderful time to catch up on those jobs that we don't normally have time for. And in winter I like to make hardwood cuttings. This time I'm going to make cuttings of my favourite rose of all. And this is the wonderful old variety Alba rose called Rosa Celeste. She's a beauty and I want to make some backup cuttings. So today I'm going to show you how to make hardwood rose cuttings. Let's see how it's done. And here we are right beside my Rosa Celeste. Now this mightn't look like anything now, it looks very sad and winter-like, but in May this is the most amazing spectacle in this whole part of the garden. So this bush is covered in soft pink semi-double roses and the scent is absolutely intoxicating. It's one that I absolutely love and I'm delighted to have in the garden. Now as you can see, it's gotten quite big and it's kind of awkward to stake, so I want to make some backup cuttings just in case something happens to this one. So let's go and find our cutting material. So first of all, you need to look for a branch that has grown this year, so a fresh branch, and this one looks just perfect and it needs to be pencil thick. So what we're going to do now with our clean secateurs is cut just below a node, and here's the node there. It's a kind of ring that goes around the stem and we're just going to cut across like that. And now I'm going to just put the cuttings in some damp tissue, which I brought. The best time to do this job is first thing in the morning because it's cooler, but I brought some damp tissue now. And let's get on with propagating. And as luck would have it, it started to rain outside, so in we go to the greenhouse. Okay, so these are hardwood cuttings, so what we need to do is remove any new growth that's a little bit flexible like this. So I am going to cut round about here. So this is what we have, and as you can see it is a little bit bigger than pencil thick. But as we go up the stem it narrows and tapers, so the top is going to be about pencil thick. If you do your cuttings any thinner than this, they're very unlikely to strike. So what we're going to do now is make a straight cut below a node. And this here is a node. You can see that kind of red ring that goes all the way around the stem. Here's another node here. Here's another node here, and you can see that it encircles the stem. So that's the place where new growths potentially might come. And then further up, you can see here the same thing, etc., etc. So what we're going to do now is cut a straight cut below the node here at the bottom. And the straight cut is very important for this operation. Now, how long should your cutting be? It should include 5 nodes or be about 8 inches. And in the case of this rose, we're not going to do the 5 nodes because it would mean the whole thing would be too blooming long. And on a length like this, we can of course make several cuttings. So here's a node. I'm going to cut just below this node here. And further along, just below this node here. And further along, I guess we'll go just below this node here. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my other stem. So at the base we're going to do a straight cut. And then I guess up to here for the first cutting below the node. And here below this node. Okay, and these are my cuttings. I'm just going to cut off that side shoot because it is of no use to anyone. Now what we need to do is make cuts at the top of these cuttings. We need to be very careful to keep them the right way up. So this is the base and this is the top, and that is really important. And now what we're going to do is make a slanty cut at the top of the cutting. And the advantage of the slanty cut is that water is going to roll off it very easily, so it's less likely to rot. This one here is ideal. It's about the same width as, or diameter as, the pencil. And if we have a look at the top, here is our very slanty cut that the water is going to drip down of and stop rotting. And if we go down to the base past node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, and then this one is just below node 5, we have a very straight cut across the base. And for the mix I'm going to use, we're using 50% horticultural sand and just 50% ordinary peat-free compost. Just mix them around. And these cuttings, they do need a good bit of sharp sand, or you can do horticultural grit as well, which is larger, if that's what you can get your hands on. And I'm using quite long pots, quite deep pots, because my cuttings are quite deep, just filling it up with this gritty sandy mix. And then we'll just tap it on the table like this to let the mixture settle. Okay. And very important with hardwood cuttings is to use hormone rooting powder, and one that is suitable for hardwood cuttings. Normally I would never use rooting powder for anything in the summertime, softwood, semi-ripe cuttings, but it is very important for the hardwood cuttings in winter. So then you just do, taking the flat end, just dip it into the hormone rooting powder, knocking off the excess, and now we're going to just plunge it into the pot to about 2/3 of the depth of the cutting. Down we go. That's about right. And the next, we are putting this into the rooting compound, and now going to put it down in the corner. And for some really strange reasons, cuttings generally tend to strike better if they're at the corners of pots. Isn't that very strange? Nobody knows why. And I'm just going to actually make a hole here with my pencil. And taking the next cutting, flat side down into the rooting compound, and then we're going to put it into the hole up to about 2/3 of the stick. And here's the next one. Now when this is done, what you really need to do is to make sure that we've secured around the cuttings so that there are no air pockets. So we'll just give it a bit of a tap down like that. And by pushing the pencil down here, it just ensures that I don't damage the cutting when I put it down in the hole. And here we're just going to put a bit of rooting powder on here. And, oops, that's too much. Put this fella down. Being careful of the spines, because we are talking rose here. And here's another one. We'll put this fella in here. And then finally, this one here. And we want to ensure there are no air pockets so that the newly emerging roots don't spend time just flapping around in air rather than soil, which is, you know, they need soil to actually grow. A label, always so important. And of course they need a good watering in. And your hardwood rose cuttings can be planted outside in an open bed if you're in a climate such as mine, so that's zones 8 to 10. Otherwise, keep them in a cold frame or a frost-free greenhouse in a pot, as I'm doing. Now, there's a 50% success rate on hardwood cuttings, so we won't cry too much if we lose some of them, but it's a great thing to do. And certainly in these very dark winter days, it's nice to be doing something that is going to usher in the spring and something that we can look forward to. Now, by next summer, I should see some signs of root growth, and then I'll know if these cuttings have struck or not. And now that I have your attention, I just thought I would mention a few words about memberships, which is currently available on my channel. Now, memberships isn't for everyone. It was always intended for just a select few. And the idea behind memberships is that I have a small group of select friends with whom I share information and plant materials. And basically anything which I can give that doesn't cost me money, I will give to the members. Now, currently members enjoy specialised videos which are bi-monthly, or live streams where I answer any of their questions. There are free seeds. There is a copy of my free ebook and some various other publications, PDF publications. And I hope to open it up to more things as time goes on. So if this is something that might interest you, then do hit the join button and see what you would get for your $5 a month. And remember, of course, you could leave memberships at any time. Other than that, I just want to say that as we're on the run up to Christmas, maybe you'll be considering what to get yourself as a little extra treat for Christmas. And if it's not memberships, perhaps it's some of my merchandise, Gardening at Douentza t-shirt, cup, various other things. Or one of my books, Journal of an Irish Garden, is available for sale for all of us hardy outdoor gardeners. It has a lot of information in there, and there's also my booklet about growing Cattleya orchids on a windowsill. Details of all of these and how to purchase them are, as always, in the details of every video I upload. Okay. That's all for the moment. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and if so, then check back for lots more gardening fun. Bye!